So now we will start working on our z-depth. Basically, this is what we got straight from Clarice, and we will want to improve this and make it conform more to our idea of this image and what makes for dramatic fog. So first of all, let's just make a group, and let's just call the whole group Z as well. And let's right click on it, and let's just change the color to yellow as well. And so currently, I think this fog is a little bit strong. Let's make it a bit lower maybe. And I think my main problem with this at the moment is that this main temple in the background is obscured by a little bit too much fog, but I like it everywhere else. So let's try to just adjust it for that one specific spot. Let's see. Actually, let's duplicate this and adjust it here. Okay, and maybe let's just erase this area here slightly, and then if we shift drag this, or actually alt and shift drag this onto our other layer, this mask will be inverted, so this adjustment is now applicable only to that spot. Let's maybe change it to that. Okay, that's slightly better. Now let's just let's just grab this first set of fog we had and remove the mask. And here what we're going to do is we'll go into our blending options and just selectively decide where we want some additional fog. So by clicking this trigger in blend if, let's go to about here, and if we hold down Alt we can drag it and smooth the selection out. Something like this. Okay, and let's just invert the mask, and with a soft brush let's paint a little bit in. So let's lower the opacity of the brush. You can do this by clicking the numbers on your keyboard. So 2, 3, 4. If you click two numbers in a row, then you can set the percentage down to the individual number. And if you just wait a little bit between each click, you set it to whatever 10 it is. So let's just at 50% paint, maybe even less, maybe 30%, paint a little bit in here. And in this area as well. Let's have a look. Okay. Let's copy this again, and let's just clear the mask for now. And let's continue individually picking little bits where we'd like some fog separation. So I think here I could do with a slight bit of gradation like that. I think that looks quite nice. Like so. And let's just delete everything in the mask. And again with a soft brush, let's paint in a little bit there. Great. Let's make another copy. And again, repeat the process. We'll do this maybe 5 to 10 times. I mean, I guess this is already number 3. So maybe here with this one, let's drag it to about there. So we can cut out this whole block using fog. Here we can add some little separation for more interest. And here I really like how we're getting the top of this dome. So if we soften this selection somewhat. Okay. Let's invert and just paint a little. Okay. Here we can separate all of these forms and get rid of all that eye-grabbing detail where we don't want it. Here as well. Okay, so see how previously this was kind of blended together, but now we're getting layers and interesting silhouettes cut out of the fog by using this technique. Let's copy again. And repeat the step. Maybe we'll cut something out here. Okay. Just very slightly cutting these out. You know, it doesn't have to be a big change, just a slight small one. And it'll really help draw the viewer's eye to where you want it. But then you also have to be careful not to overdo it. You don't want all of these looking like completely separate elements. You just want to put in slightly to bring out silhouettes and show off all of the detail in your layout. Let's copy again. And here maybe let's bring it forward in between this foreground layer and this midground layer of the top. Okay, that's kind of cool. Let's just keep it near the top though. So let's make this brush much bigger. I'm changing the size with tab, or not tab, the square brackets on your keyboard. So let's fog this out. Okay. Previously this was looking like it was obscured much less by the fog than everything that was directly underneath it, which makes no sense. So now we've brought them slightly closer together into the same depth. Again, let's make a copy. We're almost done, I think, with this step. Maybe we can put slightly more interest here. Just a little bit. Okay. And maybe let's have a look at cutting something out here. Okay, so I think here we can add a little bit of fog to make this slightly separate as well. And then we can maybe separate this slightly as well. Okay. I think we can also find maybe some separation here among these top areas. Just a little bit. Okay. So here we can make these look like slightly separate elements. I think there's a little bit of interest there. Maybe let's paint a little bit more in here. And let's try to bring something more out there. Okay. So let's group these ones together, and we'll call this Z local for localized, because this is a fog that is only in some areas. So now we have a lot more interest and mood in terms of fog, so I'm quite happy with that. Alright, let's have a look at creating some additional haze. So let's make a new layer, and let's go to Filter, Render, Clouds. And let's group this, and we're gonna call this haze. Let's make this a different color. Okay, and let's change this to screen. And let's fit this slightly more into place in terms of perspective. So let's just roughly match the perspective of our buildings. Alright, close enough. Let's just make this full screen. So let's just drag a little bit this way, and a little bit that way. Okay, now let's grab our Z-depth again. Let's just make a copy, and let's make a clean copy. You can bring this up, bring this back into your Photoshop file if you don't have an unmodified version. But let's just grab this and select our haze layer, and let's make a mask, and let's go to image, apply image. Okay. So now our haze follows the Z-depth. First of all, let's just delete some of its edges, just so it looks slightly more natural to begin with. Okay, and in our fog, let's go to the curves of our alpha mask, and let's just slightly increase the contrast here. Okay, maybe let's increase the contrast of our rendered clouds as well. Okay, and let's click Ctrl G again to put this in a new group. And let's just paint this in exactly where we want it. So again, just trying to find areas where I can add more interest by just adjusting the contrast using this haze a little bit. Let's duplicate this and disable our mask, and just here increase the contrast of the mask slightly more. I want it to appear slightly more behind that layer of buildings. Okay, and let's just adjust this mask. Okay, awesome. Let's duplicate it again. And maybe I want it to show up slightly closer to the foreground here. So let's go to curves and just increase the brightness here. And I'll just paint this in exactly where I want it. Okay. Maybe we could actually make a copy and stretch it somewhat. Like so. And let's just paint it in where we want it. Like so. Okay, cool. So now we have our fog, we have our haze. Next step, let's add some actual photo elements of fog to further amplify the effect. Alright, so here I have imported some images of smoke, and we're gonna hopefully extract it to use in our painting. So let's grab one of these, just roughly getting the main shape of it. Copy, and let's paste it here. And let's just shrink it down a bit and group it, and we're going to call this group rolling fog. And let's change the color to red. Okay, let's go into blending options first, and let's just key out the shadows until we're only left with something like this. Okay, let's duplicate it, and let's grab this and start placing it. Alright, so again we will want to use our Z depth as an alpha mask, so let's just grab this one from our haze group, and if we hold down Alt on the keyboard and just drag this mask, we can drag and drop it onto this layer as well. So that's a little bit quicker. And then here, actually let's first do the same and copy it to this layer, and now let's adjust it here. So let's go into curves, and let's just adjust it to appear behind this dome. Okay, so again we can alt click off or on to view our mask and edit it. So that looks quite good. Let's unlink these, and now we can move our bit of fog here. And let's just actually go into the curves of this fog and raise these top values a bit. Okay. And let's put this in a group, add a mask, invert it, and let's just paint in little bits exactly where we want it. So something like this. Okay, let's take our other copy, and again let's just make it brighter. And let's have a look where we can put it. I think if we flip it, and then put it here, and I'll just get my dodge tool and select the highlights and lighten this area a little bit more. Group this and just paint this in exactly where we want it. Let's go into our group and again adjust the curves to be slightly behind this pillar. So we'll go here and a little bit more like this. That should do it. And here let's just make this less bright. And maybe actually let's desaturate these layers. So if we click Ctrl-Shift-U, it'll desaturate the fog, because I don't want it bringing in this slightly blue hue. See if I change it. Here especially you can see it turns much more gray. So I think I like that. And actually maybe let's desaturate or fade the desaturation to 3/4. Here let's make another copy of this. And let's maybe put it here and spin it a little bit. Something like this. And again, paint in just very subtly. Like so. Alright, let's grab another image. Maybe this one. Let's just copy the chunk we want. And again, let's paste this here. Shrink it down a bit. Go to blending options, key out the shadows. Like so. And we can decrease the saturation a bit. And now let's just make a copy. We'll use it a few times. Let's copy this mask onto this. Actually, let's not use that one. Let's just take our mask from the haze layer again. I hadn't edited this. That's much better. Okay. So let's have a look where we can place this. I think I could have a little bit of fog separating this part and this part. So if I, while having my mask selected, go to Image Adjustments, Curves, I can just emphasize the fog there. Okay, fantastic. Let's just delete a little bit here. Okay. Maybe let's reduce the opacity a little bit. Then this bit, let's duplicate it again. We might use it again. Let's put perhaps here, like so. And let me just adjust the mask again. Actually, it's easier if we have it selected like this. So I think like this should be quite what I want. Let's just set this to screen so we only get the highlights. Much better. Okay, and maybe one more. Down here somewhere. I just want to really emphasize the effect of this fog rolling off of these layers. And again, just sort of helping myself cut out these shapes to make for more interesting silhouettes and compositions. So let's selectively draw attention here. Okay. Like so. And we'll just delete the bottom here of this layer. Okay. So now that's our rolling fog. We have some more interest. It looks quite nice, I think. Okay. So in the next video we will continue to establish the mood and the sort of feeling of our whole painting using color correction and adding some god rays that we rendered out earlier, as well as some waterfalls and water effects on the ground. So that will be our focus in the next video or two.